Okay, it looks like we're live here. Hey, Rebecca, I am so glad to have you on the show. Just thanks so much for being here today, and thanks for testing out this new system with me.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm so thrilled to be included.
This is awesome. So we met quite a while back with at Toastmasters,
Mhm.
and you've got your business is Altered Spaces, correct?
ALTAR, like this kind of altar.
Yeah,
And it's about how altars alter us, the ER kind, so change us.
I
Yeah.
got you. Yeah, I noticed the spelling. I like that.
Yeah.
And just for folks that don't know Rebecca yet, I mean, you are absolutely awesome. I've seen you've done a TEDx speech, and I'm just going to read off some of your accomplishments because this is pretty awesome. Rebecca's a master certified life coach. She's a TEDx speaker, author, and teacher. She has a big smile and bright energy, which anybody that knows you, you've just got this bubbly, contagious personality, and I love that.
Mhm.
And your business, you said basically you help people understand the story they represent in the marketplace. And for me, that was the big thing. But your main focus on the business is helping families and couples succeed, growing and
Yeah.
becoming more connected, right?
And working with the story that's inside a family. Like families have stories. I don't know if you have this experience. I mean, we are born into a family, we get imprinted, we have this story we're carrying from childhood, and then as we grow, that story kind of changes. And so I kind of just help people think about, how is the story you're telling yourself influencing you? How do you want to change the story to help you get where you're trying to go? And sometimes that's about helping businesses. And a lot of times for me, it's about helping couples and families.
Okay. And yeah, I know as we were talking here, I was thinking you were this business guru, helping entrepreneurs and stuff. Because when I met you and when we talked, you had helped me. You completely changed the way that I looked at life and business, and I went from working 16 plus hours a day, 6 days a week, 6.5 days a week, take Sunday morning off, but get to where I was pretty much hating life just because I was so absolutely just drowning in business, and made some good money, but did not enjoy life a whole lot. And so we had that conversation. Was that 2 years ago? A year or two ago?
One or the other. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I'll believe you.
But yeah, your input and your insight and just the way you helped me or the way you helped me look at what I was doing and the reasons that I was driving so hard in business.
Yeah.
Like I said, actually changed the way I looked at life. And we've closed down all three of the retail locations. We're
Oh
still
my
doing
gosh.
250,000 customers a month on the website, but we've
But
outgrown.
you have more life balance now.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I'm finally enjoying life, and business has actually grown. I thought before, when we were talking, I'm going, if I'm not there 18 hours a day, there is
Right.
no possible way I'm going to keep growing like we should. And
Yeah.
I had worked myself literally sick. So you changed my life. So I sure appreciate that.
Well, thank you. That means so much because you really are one of those successful people that people want to be like. I want Curtis's life. And I think people would have been surprised at that time to know that you were hurting anywhere, or that there was something out of balance. And I remember chatting with you about the idea that actually, if you give in to a little more happiness and relaxation, your business might actually grow.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that it did.
Yeah, I think around that time we were only doing about 30,000 customers a month. I mean, 30,000 people a
Only.
month on the website. But so, I'm feeling like, here I am working my butt off. We've got 1,000 customers a day hitting the website, and thought I was killing it. And I said, now past 90 days, we did 749,000 customers on the site. So,
And you're having more fun.
and I'm relaxing. My mom they were living in the back of the Hotchkiss cell phone store. When we talked, I had just moved out of the Grand Junction store. I was living in the back and not really enjoying life, but working our guts out. And my parents just bought a ranch up in Clifton Palisade area. And so they're out. My mom's getting a barrel race and ride her horses every day. And Steve's out running the tractor and they're loving life. So that's, like I said, you changed not only my life, but my family's as well.
Thank you for saying.
Absolutely. So I've got some questions for you. I'd like to have just kind of share some insight with our audience. And at the end of this, I'll drop the link to your site too, so people can connect with you if they want to get on and do a conversation with you on your, on Facebook or your LinkedIn or your website or whatever. And if that's okay with you.
That's great. I am not a great Facebook person. You're inspiring me to get more into Facebook, but I have to say, if people are reaching out to me on Facebook, please be patient.
Okay. Yeah, you've done pretty good with our conversation here. So, first off, what is your personal definition of success?
I think my personal definition of success would be cultivating a whole family. And then so a whole family to me means that that's not something you achieve so much as it's a process that you're working toward. So if I spend each day paying attention to, do I owe somebody an apology? Do I need to cheer somebody on? Where is my family at that we're coming together instead of dividing up? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's and I was just thinking, what a cool thing, for kids, with you having just that incredible understanding of life balance and being able to focus on what's actually important. And
well,
really,
it might be a mixed bag for my kids, Curtis, because I'm always talking about emotion, right? It might be a little too much.
well, it's good that you're not you've got a great mix where you're not overboard like the crazy cat lady kind of an emotion thing. It's like, seriously, talking to like a clinical psychologist, you understand the connections, and I'm really inspired by what you've done and how you're helping people there. So, can you tell me a little bit about your TED Talk, the TEDx Talk?
Yeah,
it's called The Vegetarian and the Hunter.
That TED Talk changed my life because I really coalesced this story of the wholeness in my family. And what I realized was how much stories had to do with the family I was trying to create. My daughter is a vegetarian. She became a vegetarian at 12 or 13 years old. My son fills our freezer with his bow and arrow. He's a hunter.
Yeah.
So our dinner table was this really interesting place of kind of division. And yeah. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to get this family together feeling when there's this constant at each other? And, my kids were just normal kids too, fighting over who gets the pink cup. I got to the car first, just this constant banter of competitiveness, which I'm sure people can relate to, right?
Uh-huh.
And when my son was born, my daughter was about 3.5. He was born and had RSV, which is some kind of respiratory virus. I don't know the whole name of it, but he was a sick little baby and had to be hospitalized. And simultaneously, my stepfather was in the ICU. And so I kind of moved my family into my mother's basement and was taking care of my mother as I went to the hospital for my stepfather, and then nursed my little baby and gave him breathing treatments. And it was I was drowning in the intensity that life can dole out at times. But it also kind of formed this perspective for me to see, okay, so what story is going on here? What am I trying to create for a family? And that TED Talk just helped me to see that amidst all the craziness, when I would get into bed with those little kids and snuggle under the covers, we were all literally on the same page, cultivating peacefulness, cultivating turn taking because the kids wanted different books, and just creating some tolerance, right? And so that the book and the TED Talk are about the vegetarian and the hunter, how stories healed my family at the dinner table.
That's awesome. And so your TED Talk, I was looking at that. I was reading about that on your website also. I think, man, that's a cool thing. I want to get a hold of that book from you.
Well, right now you can download it for free because I wanted to put it out there for people to have access to during COVID. So many of the families that I'm coaching are home and struggling right now with it's intense to be home. You're a parent, you're trying to work at home, and now you're trying to also homeschool, and you never signed up for homeschooling. Yeah. And so this book just kind of talks you through how to be able to use story to cultivate some rest in your family's life, and to use stories to create your family narrative. What family narrative are you creating? And during this COVID-19 time, I think people are dealing with a lot of just want to pull your hair out feelings and looking for how is this going to fit into the big picture of our life. Yeah.
And that could be a huge help for people that have been married for 20 years and they're just getting to know their spouse and realizing
that happens, right?
That's I'll definitely recommend that. Like I said, if your book is anything like the conversation we had, I'm excited to get a hold of it. So will that be available as an audiobook as well, or is that just a ebook right now? Or
if I can figure out how to do it, it will. Yes. one of the things that you're inspiring me with today is you're just on it when it comes to the technology and making things happen. And so I'm trying to take notes from you and learn and say, okay, so what technology do I need to employ to get my message, so it's packaged so people can have it. Yeah. So audio would be a good thing for me to pursue.
Okay. That's really a simple thing.
Are into helping me with that. Sign me up.
I'd be willing to help you with that. I've got
Curtis,
ACX. Audible ACX is a really easy thing to set up. You just need a good cheap microphone and
correct.
Not a very tough deal to do. So a lot of folks will outsource. You can even outsource and do a rev split, where you're sharing with the person that reads the book. But you've got such a friendly, likable voice. I would, if it was me, I would rather listen to you read it than a professional. Someone that is just sitting around reading. But if you need a guy to do the, if you want somebody to do it, F. Ed Knudsen out of Las Vegas with KKVV does that professionally. He's got a studio for audiobooks, so I'll get you guys connected if you want to.
Cool.
I was reading an article on your website about understanding your partner's expectations and connecting more deeply. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
I think of marriage as kind of three. A marriage sort of has three marriages inside of it: your friends, your partners, and your lovers. So when you're friends, you're looking to get comfort from each other, ease, companionship. When you're partners, you're looking to create an estate together. You're maybe sharing the responsibility of children or home ownership, or maybe you even own a business together and you're partners as a married couple. And so you're looking for that teammate from your partner, from your spouse, a teammate, part of your tribe. That's what you're looking for in a partner. And then lovers is this chemistry and zest and vitality and lustiness that gives us that passion to, even if it's not sexual, it brings that vitality and chemistry into the rest of your world when you have a good, solid chemistry lover relationship. And as I think about those three things, those three areas, the three kinds of marriages we have inside our marriage, will have different expectations. Do you have time for me to tell you a little story about
Absolutely.
So sometimes the expectations are missing each other. So an example that I've given before is I'm building a garden. I asked my husband to join me. He says, yes. And so we're going to go outside and build this garden bed. And I'm looking for a partner. I'm looking for someone to help me build the garden bed, to move sod, to get sod out and put dirt in and get the framework, right? I'm looking for a teammate. My husband's expectation was, this is going to be the most fun way to spend a day outside in the blue sky with my wife. And so just after we're starting to get momentum, he motions to me, come lay down with me. The clouds are beautiful. Let's look at the clouds. And I'm thinking, kidding me? We just got momentum. And so that's how, and that happens in so many marriages. So then me as the partner, I start making my little list, I'm doing everything. I'm gathering all the tools. I'm creating momentum. Yeah. He's getting me off my game. Yeah. And he's thinking, why doesn't she want to just relax with me?
Yeah.
Right. And so then the fight ensues.
That what you described is exactly my parents. My mom is extremely driven. She made a killing.
Well, where did you get it? Right? You're a very ambitious person.
Yeah, she's. Even my grandpa on my mom's side he had a broken back they said he shouldn't be able to get out of bed, and he's still out barrel racing and got in a bar fight when he was 70 some odd years old, knocked the guy out. But just extremely, work until, work to knuckles bleed kind of thing. And my mom's done very, very well, a lot of different business things and extremely sharp. And my stepdad, Steve, is the funnest guy you'll ever spend time with. He just wants to hang out and have a good time and just enjoy life. And so it's been a great thing for me to see the difference. Yeah. But what you described there is exactly when they've had any kind of a disagreement or anything. I'm watching them going, Steve's wanting to have fun. And my mom's going, let's get this done.
That is exactly it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And they're probably good for each other, right? Because Steve helps your mom slow down and smell the flowers and enjoy. And she helps him get out of bed and get something happening in the day. Because the truth is that when we're accomplished, our sense of satisfaction and happiness goes up, right? So you do want a balance, but often we pick the person that will help us balance out. And sometimes that goes really well. And sometimes that is,
Yeah. Well, a lot of folks too, you see in, just speaking with people that have been married for a long time, it seems like when they start out, they're attracted, and this is not referencing my parents, but talk to people that are going, the guy is there. I interviewed a guy, or I interviewed a lady where the woman, he was making okay money and working as a cook, and she started, became very successful and just grinding and killing it. And he's going, man, I love her ambition. I love her drive. And she's going, man, it's so cool that this guy's just happy-go-lucky and he just enjoys life and doesn't worry about finances. And now that they're married, it's, why doesn't this idiot worry about finances? And she's going, he's going, why is she always so trying to get something done? So.
No, and I think you're bringing up this great point, which is we get attracted to the qualities that are different from ours, right? We want to partner up with somebody who's different from us. And so they have all those other qualities that we lack. Yeah. And that's why we're attracted to them. And then we get in a home with them and we're sharing everyday life with them. And we go, oh, your difference is driving me crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why so
a lot of my, exactly. That's a lot of my work is just about trying to help people understand. Again, I'm going to come back to the word story, understanding the whole story. That is that why that relationship is going around and around. You're chasing each other. But when you can see it as a whole circle, a cycle, then you can embrace it a little and not feel quite so much like it's one against the.
That's awesome. And anybody that's watching right now, you can click. There's a little round icon up at the top right there. It'll scroll across and it says video sponsor, but that'll take you directly to Rebecca's page. And in the show notes, I've got your link as well to Altered Spaces. But again, I'm so excited to be talking with you and kind of learning some of your insight without paying you for a session now. So. Can you tell me about a specific moment that set you on the path you're on right now?
I do. I can. So I purposefully had this here. See all of my ornaments that are hanging? So these are the ornaments, these blue and green ornaments from my 30th wedding anniversary. We had a party. When I got married, I had a lot of divorce in my family tree, and I didn't want to do that. It felt like I don't want to go down the same path that all these other people. So I didn't want to get married. But I think the man who is now my husband had some insight into my personality, that one day I would have a business called Altered Spaces. And he knew that like ritual's important to me. Okay. And I didn't want to skip over the ritual, but I didn't want that wedding cake and white dress and all of that. So he told me in 2 days, we're going to be getting married and it's going to be okay. And that was the way he proposed to me. Right. So we did, eloped, and it has been, it has not been without bumps, but here we are 33 years later. And I had always said, let's have a party at some point to celebrate our marriage. And each milestone would come and go and we wouldn't do it. And at my 30th anniversary, my daughter said, hey, 30 is a pretty good number. And I'm like, oh, I'm scared. But she was right. And I kind of knew. And so I found these ornaments in the sale bin after Christmas. And I said, I think I want to decorate the property with those ornaments. And I didn't know why. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was following the story. This is how stories lay out, right? We don't know why we buy these ornaments, but these blue and
I would
green,
never buy ornaments without having a plan in mind.
But I knew they're going to be so beautiful. And what it was speaking to in my heart is that our family divides as parents and kids, girls and boys, and green-eyed and blue-eyed. So my son and I have green eyes, and we have a very similar fiery disposition, and we're both a little more extroverted. And my husband and daughter have blue eyes, and they're a little more introverted. They don't tend to say as much. And so the green-eyed, blue-eyed thing ended up being something that contributed to how we understood each other. And lo and behold, at this celebration that we had for our 30th anniversary, I asked my kids to say a little something, and they talked about the marriage that they had witnessed as children. And it was one of those moments where you go, I did it. I wanted to create a whole family, and I did. And my children felt like they were part of a family growing up, and they dealt with each other in terms of that hunter and vegetarian. And there's the story of that is in my TED talk of how they came together there. So I think does that answer your question?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's
okay.
That's a great response. If you could recommend one book for our audience, what would that book?
Okay.
Besides, tell us about your book as well.
Well, my book is The Vegetarian and the Hunter, How I Healed My Family, I can't remember the subtitle, at How Stories Healed My Family Around the Dinner Table. And you can download it if you want it. It'll help as you're stuck at home right now. But This is the book that I would recommend. Now, this is, can you see it okay? It's called...
It's cut off. Oh, On the Day You Were Born. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's called On the Day You Were Born by Deborah Fraser. It's a picture book. And the reason I would recommend it is it may not be this book for someone else's family, but for my family, we read this book on everybody's birthday. I've read it to ranchers sitting on their front porch after stomping around in manure, and somebody had a birthday there that day. So I read the book that day.
Okay.
And I've read it to other people's babies. It's one of those books in life that celebrates the person on the day that they're born and says, I'm so glad you came into the world. So that it's not this profound book that's going to change your financial life, but it will change the way you see the way people feel celebrated in your work. And I guess my invitation to people would be, find a book that helps you come together as a family, or maybe not as a family, comes together as a workplace. Maybe, let a book bring you intimacy with other people.
That's awesome. I'll have to check that book out as well. That was On the Day You Were Born by Deborah Fraser.
Yes.
Check that out, and I'll put that in your show notes as well.
Now, Curtis, when is your birthday? Because I'll make sure I get to read it to you.
Mine is April 4th.
Okay. Oh, shoot. We just missed it.
Did we?
All right.
I guess we did. My sense of time is not very good after the brain tumor.
I know, right? And I think that's why this is so exciting that you're doing this program, because you are modeling that sense of what does success mean? Success means don't give up. And you have reinvented yourself multiple times. One of the moments that was so inspiring to me with you was after your bike accident recently, or I guess it was a little bit ago. But here you are, you'd been in the hospital for how many days? And then when good night. I mean, good night, right? And then when you come back to Toastmasters, all you can ask about is, how can I help? How can I help? And you have this handshake that just says, I am here and I love life. And that's that, start again, believe in yourself, reinvent yourself, don't give up, right?
Yeah.
That was a bad accident.
Yeah, it was kind of a crazy thing. The first doctor was talking about amputating the leg, and we had it was broken 19 places. It was not a real fun deal. We were talking about that the other day, and I was telling my mom with the pain, so I had broken it before, and so there was a rod inside. I had broken it, and then I was scheduled to be in Las Vegas for a major telecom conference, and they had said, okay, with as bad as the break was, I was not going to be able to get on the plane with this leg that was all broke up, and it broke both bones and folded the foot up along the side of my knee. But I had this telecom conference scheduled, and so
where you were speaking.
This was another deal with we were hosting an event, and something I couldn't get out of, even with a leg that was hanging off. And so they drove a steel rod down, or some kind of a rod down in the inside of the bone there. And I had said at that time that if you ever bend that rod, you'd more than likely have to amputate, because a bent rod can't be pulled out of a straight bone. And so luckily this time when I broke it again, it broke in 19 places, made the rod kind of a J shape. And so it was just a matter of breaking the top of the bone. Yeah. But that was a really cool thing.
Lose your leg.
Yeah.
I think that really speaks to who you are as a person, is that you see it as a great thing that my leg was broken in 19 places. How many people are going to go about in life looking for, why is this good? I think you ask that question a lot. Why is
Yep.
this?
Yeah. Well, that's all about. I had a guy last night was talking about asking me whether it was, if money bought happiness. He's asking if that was, if
Yeah.
becoming successful, if that was if that made me happy or whatever. And in our talk there, I was telling him I've had made $52,000 in 10 days revenue with, that pretty good revenue on Google AdWords. And that was a side project, not the main business. That was just an app development thing. And so I've been in that situation, but I've also been in a situation more of my life than not where I was so broke. I had a medical bankruptcy years ago because of the diabetes and stuff. And I literally could not afford to pay the overdraft fees at the bank that I had gone into overdraft on the debit card trying to pay for my prescriptions. And I'd got fired from a job for having a seizure at the job, lost my insurance, and then so I was putting prescriptions on a debit card that I knew was overdrafting, and just kind of a train wreck there. So as we were talking, I was saying, yeah, you can be happy in any kind of a situation, and I chose to be happy then. Even though I'm going, hey, I will probably die because I cannot afford the medications, and I'm so far in debt. And so at that time, I'm going, I'm gonna be happy while I'm around. But it was a decision to try to focus on the good stuff.
How did you get the tenacity to say, I'm going to choose to be happy?
I've kind of always done that. It's just making that decision. I read or I listen to audiobooks, average about 6.5 books a month. So
okay, you've got those stories roaming around in your head.
Yeah. So anytime I'm in the car or whatever, I'm always listening to audiobooks. Back then it was the old cassettes, the book on cassette.
Yeah.
And I had a lunchbox full of those. But when that was all going on, it's I was telling him, yes, you can definitely be happy if you're broke. I mean, I've talked to homeless guys that are happy, they enjoy life, they're doing good and have literally nothing. But it is easier to be happy when when you're not worrying about money. So
when you have enough to pay the bill, that gives you a big step up. Let's not lie. I mean,
Yeah.
I am super fortunate because especially at this time, I don't have that economic insecurity that so
Yeah.
many people are facing right now. And I'm very privileged.
Yeah.
So,
well,
yeah.
and folks will talk about, people misquote the Bible saying money is the root of all evil. It's the love of money is the root of all evil, but they'll misquote saying they'll say money is the root of all evil. And I'm saying
that's a great distinction, Curtis.
Yeah,
but it's a great distinction.
And the big thing to think about on that I'll point out a lot of times, how often do you ever hear of a wealthy guy goes in and robs a liquor store? Wealthy guy, that doesn't happen. It's somebody that's in that desperate situation of not having finances, and they're put in a position where they're going, I'm going to knock off this 7-Eleven because that's my last opportunity to get some money to buy baby formula or whatever the reason is. So
desperation, economic hardship causes desperation.
Yep. Yeah. So we kind of got. I got distracted there.
Imagine that I would distract anybody.
There's a great article on your website about investing in the lifetime of your marriage. And you've kind of talked about that a little bit, but I'll place a link there too.
This is in the same way that this book about how reading to my children changed my life as a parent and allowed me to see the gift I had given my children, reading to them and creating family stories. That gave me just a totally different perspective, because when you write a book, you're pouring yourself into it, as you know, right? And so it changes you because you've kind of coalesced your story. Now I'm turning my focus towards a curriculum for people in partnerships or marriages or long-term relationships. And so I'm at the very beginning phase of things. There isn't a product yet, but I'm aiming towards a membership site where we're all sharing information, and that I have a curriculum, a 12-month curriculum that just kind of plays out those 3 types of marriages inside your marriage. It grows out of that theme and talks about
That's awesome.
Yeah, sex and chores and money and extended family. And we take each of those topics and kind of look at how is your relationship growing or contracting or in the way, or so we'll just take those subjects one at a time. That's what I'm doing there.
Cool.
I'm excited about it. And I'm actually looking for people who want to kind of be a part of the beta rollout. And I'll probably ask for your advice when it comes to creating the podcast, the technology end of it.
Okay.
So,
and,
but currently looking for couples who, like you said, want one of those free hours of coaching.
Yeah.
If I can use it in the podcast, then Yeah.
That's awesome. And you might even look, I know you're not asking for advice here, but
I am. Yeah, I'm ready to take notes.
the Facebook groups,
Mhm.
I've done as many as 786, sold as many as 786 books in a day, just with the groups, by automating that setup there. And we've got a 768 books. Sorry about that. But still, it's a good number of
It's a good number.
books
Five is,
without paying for without paying for traffic. So,
yeah.
and now we're gaining over 2,000 new active members daily on the Success Motivation Inspiration group. So, kind of a cool
Nice.
thing to.
Congratulations. You're doing this project from your heart, and it really shows. When you do anything in your life that comes out of that heart space, people are just attracted, right?
Yeah.
Because they want to be part of that story with you. Yeah.
Well,
Cool.
and the cool thing with that is you can turn that into, if you've got something like your the book that you're trying to promote there, you can or the course, I mean, you can turn that into a Facebook group and make that it could be a members only where it's an invite only group, or it could be a open group where anybody can join.
Okay.
For me, I'm thinking, hey, this is good stuff. It's nice to be able to make some money off of it, but I would give this all away for free. And so our group, there's daily just spitting out good information. You might do the same thing on yours with a Facebook group and connect that all through. I saw your website is built on WordPress, so
Yeah.
there's all kinds of ways to integrate that together and make that.
All right. So clearly, I need to sit down with you to get the details of how to make all this work.
Cool. Yeah, I'd be happy to help. And again, thank you so much for, like I said, you changed my life with the insight, just helping me
Okay.
kind of.
I totally took the compliment before, and now I'm going to just put it back on you and say, I asked a couple questions. Who did the changing, right? You did the change.
Well,
Yeah.
but that's something that I would not have done without that
All right.
conversation. So I sure appreciate it. All right, Rebecca. Do you have any last thoughts for our audience before we sign off here?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I want to just say again, thanks a lot for including me, and thanks for making a project out of inspiring people. Watching you put this whole thing together is super inspirational for me, both from the technology end of things, but also just, hey, if you make a practice out of asking everybody each day, what's your definition of success? Your life's going to be pretty different than if you're asking a different question.
Yep.
So thanks for your generosity, and thanks for including me.
Thank you. I sure appreciate you being on, and I hope this, we'll have to watch the video after and see if this is actually, if it turned out all right, but hopefully it worked, and hopefully everybody's able to see this. This was an awesome conversation. So
Cool.
thanks
Thank
again,
you.
Rebecca.
Bye.